But let's go back to this mineral subject because it's so fascinating, really. I really like what Rudolf Steiner said, and he said that if we continue with the demineralization of the soil, we will experience an epidemic of neurological degeneration, neurological decline. That's our brain. Our brain not working optimally, our brain fog, confusion, irritability, anxiety, depression, all these connotations. It's interesting that Rudolf Steiner, who was a mystic essentially, he was an incredible pioneer of biodynamic agriculture, and he was really just a visionary, you know, kind of like Edgar Cayce. He could see about 100 years ahead of time if we continue up with the same practices that we had in his lifetime. And he predicted this, and he's right, because if you look statistically right now at neurological and cognitive and depression rates right now, it's been estimated that 25% of the Western population suffers from a neurological imbalance. When I heard that a few years ago, and it just like floored me. I was like, wow, that's 1/4 of the population suffers from a neurological decline, a neurological imbalance. So that actually makes perfect sense, is that the people in the hierarchy of society that are making all the decisions, they're not with it. Right? They're not totally with it. The people in society that are making decisions, the family, the parents, the children at school, the teachers teaching the children at school, the legislator writers, the people that are making all the decisions in society, the possibility and the probability is that they're neurologically out of balance, and they're missing key points of frequency, otherwise known as elements, otherwise known as minerals, to actually spark cognitive enlightenment. So just imagine if people were properly mineralized, they could actually make clear and rational decisions in the world. So that's one perspective. Another perspective came from a man, Dr. Louis Kervan. Dr. Louis Kervan in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, he came up with one of the most profound theories that actually is not really a theory. The scientific community considers it a theory because it doesn't actually confirm the materialistic scientific bias presented by Mendeleev's periodic table of elements, so anyways, back to Dr. Louis Kervan. Now, he was a French chemist that actually observed, when he was a child, he observed an interesting phenomenon, and that is, he observed calciferous or calcium-rich eggs that were coming out of chickens in his backyard, but there was no limestone present in the soil. There was no calcium-rich material for these chickens to peck on. So he started to wonder, well, how are they getting these calcium-rich eggs if there's no calcium for them to consume? And what he came to find is that there was a large amount of what's called mica, which is a silicaceous or silica-rich material, and that these chickens were eating that silica and they were producing calcium out of the transmutation of silica. Now, if you've followed my work for a while, if you've read any of my books on this subject, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or if you studied some of the theories on calcification, you'll understand that it's not as simple. This is the surface level understanding that comes out of the periodic table, is that if you take in calcium, then you should get calcium in your body. And that turns out not to be the correct theory, right? What appears to be correct, though, is that there's certain elements in nature that are biologically transmutable in the human biological process, whatever that process is in our biology, that can take a silica, that can take a magnesium and convert it into calcium as the body requires it. This is the intelligence of the human body, is that it's not surface-based. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to take a calcium supplement to take my calcium, to fulfill my calcium needs. It doesn't really work like that. It's more sophisticated. In fact, it's more shamanic. It's more mystic in nature, metaphysical in nature. So anyways.